Hello, Blue Jay Tay TV fans. I am Blue Jay Tay, back with another Degrassi video. I have to get this one off my chest. I promise you guys, it is driving me insane. So, I wanted to give you guys my unpopular opinions about Degrassi. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be chaotic, but I do believe these are some very important points that I never really hear people talk about. Some of them I do hear about. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to lie like that. But there are so many that I feel like aren't, talked about enough. So this is probably going to be a shorter one, but I just wanted to get this out the way. So let's get started. Cheers. My first unpopular opinion is Black characters are underused. Yes. As much as I love this series and I love some of the characters that I'm about to talk about, there are so many underrated Black characters. Honestly, a lot of underrated POC, which is person of color characters. And, when it comes to their Black characters, they are the higher ranked of the unused characters. So I'm going to start with Hazel. Hazel was kind of like, she came in, we were introduced, should I say, to her when she was a part of the scandal of Liberty being the talk of the town at that moment. And then she didn't really have too many moments. She was kind of just Paige's lackey. And then at some point, she did get an episode about her, which was, I want to say, I can't remember what the episode is called right now. I'm so sorry, you guys. I had it right in my head. But the point is, it was an episode about Hazel pretending to be Jamaican because people were, making fun of people who were Somalian and things like that because of, the terrorist thing. And she's like basically bullying this girl. And then she ends up, realizing like after somebody completely trashes her locker and creates a hate crime on her locker that she's kind of like, you know what? I need to accept my heritage. And I really, really love that for her. It was really awesome. It was a good character moment for Hazel. And then the next episode that she had a good character arc in was, Take On Me, which is referred to as the Breakfast Club episode. I feel like she had a good character arc. She was away from Paige. There was no bull crap that you've seen of her. She was really fun, really down to earth. She did the dare of making out with Toby, which was hilarious. You found out that she was in there because she was surfing porn, and it gave her a really refreshing depth of character. But we didn't see anything about Hazel after that. I felt like they could have utilized her way more than they did, and I think she did do a podcast or a YouTube episode about that with somebody, and I think it was very important to point that out. So my next character I'm going to talk about that's a underrated Black character is Marisol. I feel like they made Marisol's character kind of boring. I mean, she had some fun moments. I love when she said, "Oh, look who it is." When she said the lion, the bitch, and her slutty wardrobe. The liar, sorry. And that was funny. I thought that her relationship with Katie was kind of cool, but I really enjoyed her relationship with Mo, more importantly. But I mean, she didn't have much depth or much really important storyline or, backstory to her life. So I just kind of feel like she was very underused. Now, Liberty, I like that they made her the very intelligent Black girl. I didn't like that she was kind of the stereotypical one. And I mean, in ways to make it, because she's a lighter version. We see that a lot in the Proud Family where, there's Penny who's really smart, but she's a lighter brown skinned girl. And then there's Dejanay who's the super ghetto, obnoxious, unwanted by guys. And she's, the darker skinned girl. It's just not okay. But, so that was one thing. But I did appreciate her being very intelligent. She didn't have too much storyline. Her parents, I did like the fact that her parents were of the darker skin complexion. And so was her brother. And that they were, they had very high paying jobs, things like that. I did appreciate that. But, she didn't have too much depth of character. And I think she was more somewhat interesting when her and JT were actually together. She got pregnant and things like that. I mean, but again, there was just so much about Liberty that they could have done with her and they really didn't do much with her. You know what I mean? It was kind of like she didn't have any major crazy events that happened to her, any major like downfalls. Like we had so many ups and downs with Emma in her life, and I felt like Liberty didn't have enough of those, especially after giving a baby up for adoption, your first baby at that. So that's where I'm at with it. Damien, he literally served no purpose. It was like he came from Lakehurst, so whatever. And then it was like he was sort of kind of dating Manny, and then the whole racist thing came out, you know, when basically everybody accused her of being racist. And then she tried to hook him up with Liberty. He's kind of like, no, I'd rather date her friend, aka Emma. And then he ends up like hooking up with Liberty at the graduation because he saw her glove and was like, definitely, like, yeah, okay. He could have served a better purpose, but he didn't. It just annoyed me. There's also Chris Sharp, who was in the very beginning, and it was like Emma's first like crush after her and Sean had split up. I felt like it was very weird because he was a typical beatboxing black guy, and then I mean there was nothing. We really didn't get anything from him except for when Emma was like being annoying and trying to get back at Sean. That was kind of weird, but I mean it wasn't important. And I think you kind of seen him a little bit briefly when Manny was pregnant. I mean, it wasn't, and I think the last time I gave a shit about Chris is when he was basically making fun of Emma when people were talking about her getting gonorrhea and stuff like that. So he wasn't important at all. Like, bye. Last but not least, there is Jimmy. Now, Jimmy has a larger storyline than majority of these characters that I spoke of. But I feel like Jimmy was such an awesome, sweet guy. I feel like they could have done way more than him later on in the seasons. You know, after, you know, him and Ashley was together and he met Trina. I just feel like they didn't give him enough at that point. But that's neither here or there. My point is, all in all, Jimmy was great. He was awesome. And he deserved way more flowers than he got. Okay. So my next unpopular opinion is Manny. And you know what? Let me just say this. I won't say that it's that unpopular. I'm saying that for multiple reasons because a lot of us had to figure that out when we got older. But Manny deserved so much better. Manny was an amazing friend. And she got shitted on by damn near everybody she was friends with and everybody she came in contact with. I mean, we all know what Emma did to her. I mean, I don't really have to go into the long list of shit that Emma has done to her. And then, you know, her parents kicking her out, basically just because she wanted to get a boob job. She wanted to become an actress, and they didn't agree. You know, she was there for Darcy when nobody else wanted to be around her ass, when she was spazzing out. You know, she was trying to break it down to Emma that Darcy was having a hard time. And now I do get Emma's anger towards the situation, but we know Emma, a lot of times, she's only upset about things because they directly affect her. She's very weird. And, you know, she gave Spinner a chance, you know, even though she didn't want to get hurt because Craig did her dirty. She really, really loved Craig, and he, like, literally shit on her twice. The first time, well, three times. No, I don't want to say the first time they dated, because, I mean, she was acting very, like, childish, and I get that. That's not attractive to a guy. But I'm talking about the second time when he was dating her and Ashley at the same time. I mean, he basically threw her under the bus, lied to her, got her pregnant. Like, you know, like, it was just bad. So, you know, she had dealt with that. When they got back together, you know, when he left to pursue his music career, he came back doing coke, completely blamed it on her to Ellie, had Ellie, like, basically thinking she was better than her, low-key insulted her, because when she was like, I'm not smart like she is, and he's like, yes, you are, you're just not book smart. And I'm just like, Craig, what the fuck? Like, okay. So, yeah, like, she got the she got a pretty good shit end of the stick. And let me just say the biggest issue I had when it comes to Manny. Everybody and their grandmother was walking around calling this girl the slut, the school slut. She slept at the time, because apparently her and Spinner are dating to have sex. At the time, she slept with one person, and that was Craig. That forever sends me that everybody looked at her like, oh, you nasty whore. Like, what? And I got where she was coming from. She was like, he was one cheating on his girlfriend, but nobody ever talks about that, do they? I felt that. I felt that deep in my spirit. Everybody looked at her like, oh, she's so slutty. Like, okay, she wore a thong and everybody saw it, and everybody knew she had sex with Craig. I'm trying to figure out how that ties into being a legitimate slut. In order to be a slut, that means you have to be loose. You have to be out here doing wild stuff, which she was not doing. It was given again the POC thing. Like, she, nobody called Emma a slut. And everybody knew she had gonorrhea, and everybody knows that Emma's a virgin. But nobody called her a slut. Hell, Amy literally got punched in her face by Alex for going down on her boyfriend. Nobody called Alex a slut. And that was definitely slut behavior. But Manny was deemed a slut for that. And she was actually really in love with Craig. And Craig lied to her. You know what? That will forever send me. And you know what? Emma never had her back. Even when that girl was like, he does go for girls like that. Like, I'd have like, hold up, bitch. Like, that's my best friend. But yeah, Manny should have bossed up on all them hoes and beat everybody ass and all that. I said what I said. I'm about to get upset. Let me calm down, y'all. Moving on. They ruined Paige's character development later in the series. Paige went from the bully, a mean girl, to she still had mean ways about her, but she was a nice, wholesome person at that point. Like, she was building relationships, with people she would never have been friends with before. And then, it's like later on, they just ruined her. Like, they did the whole Degrassi, I want to say Goes Hollywood. Yes. And they made her really rude. They made her and Marco's friendship fall apart, which I thought that was really whoa. I don't know. It's like, I was trying to figure out what they were thinking about, the writers, when they decided to go Degrassi Goes Hollywood. I was so confused about the reaction between, their thoughts and Paige's character. They just completely ruined her, and I did not like it at all. And I'm not going to spend that much time talking about it. So, my next unpopular opinion is Sean and Ellie should have been in game. I used to really feel like Emma and Sean should have been in game, but that just comes down to nostalgic feelings. I feel like Sean and Ellie had a better relationship, and he literally left Ellie because they were together after the shoot. Well, during, during, and post shooting, they were in a relationship. So when he left and he came back, I was so confused why he went for Emma. And I would have appreciated, let me just say this now that I think about it, I would have appreciated that had he tried to pursue Ellie a couple times. And clearly I think she was with Jesse at the time, and she was kind of like, oh, I don't know. And then kind of displayed that, oh, I love Craig feeling. And he just kind of moved on, and maybe he saw Emma and they kind of had a moment. That would have been better for me. I would have liked that better. But if you were going to push them two together, but I still think that they should have been in game. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, they fit each other so well. And, Emma and Sean were cool. But I feel like Sean was just a little bit of a different person when he was around Emma. I feel like he just begged her to just accept him. Whereas Ellie actually just accepted him for who he was. I feel like she loved him for real. My next unpopular opinion is Manny and Jay's relationship was better than Emma and Spinner's. I said what I said. Also, really quick, why couldn't this this POC woman get married, but her blonde bestie could. It gave me ick, okay? But I love Spinner, and I just didn't want Emma for him. I don't care who was for him. I just didn't want Emma for him. Now, I mean, Emma did seem a little better when she was with Spinner, so that maybe that was a good thing. She seemed like calmer and loving, but I want Spinner for somebody else. So she was through everything he's been through and all the development of his growth. I just didn't care for it. But Manny and Jay's relationship was what I felt like Spinner and Emma's relationship should have been. You got to see it develop. It was like this fake relationship to like this real relationship to like this I love you. And, you know, Jay, you got to see a different side of Jay with Manny. And you got to see Manny be a little bit, you know, to be feeling a little more safe with somebody as opposed to the guy she's dated in the past. So I just felt like, I don't care what nobody says, because there's a lot of people that think, oh my gosh, I love Spinner and Emma. I don't. I hate it. It was forced. It felt like sex with no foreplay. I said what I said. Next, Jimmy and Eli are my favorite characters. I have other like favorite characters, but like my top two, Jimmy and Eli for sure. Jimmy was a very loving, calm person. Even if he did wrong things, he would realize he was doing wrong things and he would change it. And to me, he was like that perfect guy that you would need when you're trying to have a good guy in a relationship. So that was Jimmy to me. I'm sorry. I don't care how anybody feels about it. That was Jimmy to me. Eli was everything I love in a man. Like, I'm gothic too. Love it. But also I loved his attitude. Like, I loved his, you know, his I don't take no bullshit type of attitude. And I love Claire and Eli together, even though sometimes she irked my soul. I'll get to that because that's on the list as well. But, you know, I mean, they were both very handsome men. And I just feel like, you know, Eli was... He was the better version. Like, he was their Craig, but the better version of that generation. Because we got to see Eli's growth in his mental disorders as opposed to Craig's. We didn't really see that all like that. And, you know, he showed his talents off a lot. He seemed very loving and he was very caring. And he was funny. He was so funny. I thoroughly love Jimmy and Eli. I don't care how anybody feels. So my next one is going to be some, I can just hear it in the wind. It's about to be what? Girl fight. Jane didn't deserve Spinner. I said what I said. Jane, I feel like she could have had Spinner as a partner and it would have been pretty cool and I would have actually enjoyed it. But she got very weird towards the end. She got kind of, I feel like when she got more in her feminine ways, because she was kind of punk rockish, you know, very gothic in the beginning. But once she started getting like, I'm gothic still, but I want to be like cute and hot. Like, I felt like she started looking at Spinner like, oh, well, he doesn't make me feel cute and hot. But this asshole Declan does. Which, I mean, the funny thing is I like the weird scenario of her cheating with Declan, but Declan just doesn't give me like, ooh, I want to hook up with him vibes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he would have to really play that role, but I feel like if it was the other way around, well, I won't say that because Declan would have had to been like, just if somebody else that wasn't Declan was him, and then she was dating him instead of Spinner, and then Spinner was that guy. I could see that because Spinner is like really hot to me, but I just feel like it wasn't given what it could have given. The chemistry was giving it, but physically, I wasn't getting that from Declan. I wasn't getting like, oh, he's a preppy jock asshole that I would definitely probably let hit. Like, no. But regardless, I still like the build up of the tension of their relationship. But I just feel like after everything Spinner has been through and done for her and the way he loved and cared for her, she did not deserve that. And I was very happy when he moved on, honestly. Okay, this is going to be kind of quick, but Jenna got her karma with Casey. And I'm not one for making a woman a single mother and pushing her, away from you. But I mean, at the end of the day, you came telling those girls, I'm a boyfriend. I was such a boyfriend stealer. And you literally swiped her boyfriend from under her. You swiped Claire's boyfriend. And this asshole turned around and got you pregnant and left you on more than one occasion. So I said what I said. She got what she deserved. Karma is a bad bitch. You got to watch yourself. And you know what? Before anybody jumps in these comments and starts dragging me for filth, or like my girl Voodoo Doll TV says, start windmilling in the comments with your head down, I can say that because I'm a firm believer in you reap what you sow. Okay? I don't even know if that's a word, but for lack of a better phrase, it's going to be a phrase today. I reaped what I've sown plenty of times in my life. Sometimes where it's just been bad, where I'm like, oh, I don't think about it in that moment, but later I'm like, it's probably because of that. Yep, I'm getting my karma. That's some fuck shit. I did some fuck shit, and now I'm getting my karma for it. Period. So my appointment. I don't know what's going on with me, y'all. I'm tired. I came from the gym. Like, I took a shower, everything, took a bath. I'm all over the place. Anyway, I stand by what I said. Okay, so I have 2 more to go. So, I loved Jenna and Connor and Mo and Marisol. So, first and foremost, I love that they gave Connor, somebody who has Asperger's, a point to have love. Because I think a lot of people with mental disorders and Degrassi, they kind of get looked over as far as their relationships, except for Connor and Eli. So, I really like that they gave him a unproblematic relationship, because I say that because Craig's relationship was very problematic. Well, all of them, should I say. But it was very cute. And I just loved the way they were together. Like, Jenna seemed like a whole new person with Connor. Like, she was very loving. She accepted everything that he gave her. She got into his hobbies. And it was just very beautiful. And honestly, I have a son who is autistic. And I just I just hope you have that type of life. You know what I mean? So, and I was watching this way before I had my son. So, yeah. Now that I do have, he's my youngest. But now that I have a child that has those type of atypical type of things, I'm kind of excited about that. Now, Mo and Marisol, like I said, I really agreed. I really liked them. I loved their relationship. They seemed very loving. And that's what I mean. Like, you never really saw them, fight and argue. And I'm not saying that couples don't fight and argue. And, because Jenna and Connor had, a moment or two or whatever. They had some things going on with them. But I felt like it wasn't, detrimental, where it was toxic. There was a lot of toxic relationships in Degrassi, and I didn't get that from either one of those couples. So I thoroughly enjoyed every time they were on the screen, honestly. And last but not least, and this is something very heavy, so if things, I should have put a disclaimer in the beginning. If there's things that you do not agree with, like death, abortion, suicide, racism, things like that, I think that you should part ways. I mean, if you're already here, it's too late. But before I get into this heavy, unpopular opinion, I really, really just wanted to issue that disclaimer. Now that that's out the way. Okay. Eli's reaction to Cam's death was phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because I am a super, super Eli fan. It's not even that. I loved Cam's death. To me, was one of the smartest things they did in Degrassi, because it gave perspective into how people look at suicide. And you saw Cam's reaction and how he just kind of felt so alone. I know those feelings. I have tried to attempt suicide on more than one occasion. I know the buildup that leads to that moment. And so it was almost, I'm not saying it was, I'm saying it was almost triggering, where I almost kind of cried, because I'm like, dude, I know what that's like. And then when he finally does it, like, because I hate the way people react to Maya's reaction to it. And I'm just like, first and foremost, everybody's not going to react to your suicide the same way. It's life. Some people are going to feel some type of way. And even the way it affected her later, where she was worried about her friends passing away because of what happened with Kim. It wasn't she still felt the way she felt. She felt like he could have talked to her. She felt like it was selfish to him. People are going to feel like that, and I just need people to understand that. So you cannot tell a person how to react to somebody's death. You just can't. It wasn't like somebody killed him. He killed himself. Like, you know what I mean? But Eli finding him in the garden and, him just trying to move on and, it was very hard for him. That's one of my favorite episodes. It's a 2-parter episode. It's Ray of Light. I watch that religiously because it's a very important message for me and a lot of people in the world. Forgive me. Dallas's reaction was very deep to me too, because he was very hard on Kim and he felt like I should have did something. Everybody should have did something. And it's just like, that was the regret that people feel. And I feel like that was very important, and shout out to Dallas. I actually like Dallas. But, So during this episode of Ray of Light, Eli is doing everything in his power to just live a normal life. Claire is like hovering over him and just basically stressing him out. And I'm like, Claire, honey, please. He doesn't want to keep talking about it. And she's like micromanaging him like she's his mom. And I think that's what took him over the edge. So he eventually goes to this party. This girl, can't remember her name. Anyway, girl gives him MDMA and he's like having the best time of his life. He's carefree. He's not thinking about nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to mention that he goes with Jake and Mo. Because I liked them in that episode. They were a good trio, honestly. I would have loved to see more of them, to be honest. But, so, basically, after that, the next day, he's excited, blah, blah, blah. And then the girl then walked past and was like, here, you want your shirt? And I'm like, oh, Lord. So basically, Claire's like freaking out because he, tells her like, hey, I didn't smoke weed. I tried MDMA. So she's kind of putting a little bit more pressure on him and still. And he's trying. Like, everybody else is around him is just kind of like, okay, they're just moving on with their lives. And then, she just won't stop. So she keeps interfering with his life. And he's just kind of like, could you stop? And I felt that. Because why do you keep doing that? It's getting annoying at this point. And to the point that he had a very good meeting I think he was getting into a school. And then she's like excited. And she's like, oh, we have to talk about it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, Claire. Like, he's not just constantly using drugs. He used drugs at one time because he wanted to clear his head. So he ends up using drugs again. Loses his mind, runs through the school naked, hugs Mr. Simpson, and like they talking to him in the office, Mr. Simpson is dad. And it was like, when he was like, it could have been me. I could have died in there. And it was just like, it was so sad. Like, it makes me cry every time. But also there was something important that he said right before that when, Mr. Simpson starts talking about what happened with him and finding, I think his name is Claude, and the Degrassi before Next Generation when he was younger. And he was like, I've been watching you. What happened? He's like, there's all this pressure to talk about it. And his dad's like, you got to. He's like, to my therapist, yeah, but not to everybody every day. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I felt that deep in my spirit. And then, so basically, he goes to meet up with Claire, and then she's all like, did you do drugs because of me? And then, like, he's just, like, breaking everything down. And then he's like, I think we need some time. And then she starts going off at the mouth. And he's like, no. See, he's like, Cam's not the problem. You are. He's like, you're hearing me, but you're not listening. And I felt that. Like, and it was like, I didn't even like when they did get back together because I just felt like it was Eli coming for her. And it's like, no, like, at what point are you going to, she's just another Emma to me in that way. At what point are you going to understand that you were pushing him away? He was going through something and you were trying to make him feel better, but he's telling you that's not what he needed. He just needed you to act normal. I just want to have fun and hang out with you. And every time I do that, you're acting like a freaking therapist. So I just feel like, especially somebody with the mental health issues that Eli has, I felt like that was an amazing character arc. That was so awesome to see him in that light, because sometimes things do affect you later on, and sometimes people, and I know this from personal experience when it comes to my mental health, sometimes people just do not help. They just add more fuel to the fire. Trust me. Whew. I'm exhausted talking about that, to be honest with you. But those are some unpopular opinions. Let me know what kind of unpopular opinions you guys have about Degrassi. And I will see you in the next episode. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed, but I love y'all. Mwah. Cheers.